Hello, faithful listeners. Once again, this is Going Commando with the 80s Kids. We appreciate all the follows, likes, and listens. And this week's topic is our Indiana Jones podcast. Now, you might be saying, Carthy, that's kind of a broad topic. What are y'all going to talk about? Indiana Jones. Just that simple. We're going to go through the movies. Go ahead and saying out front, I have not seen the new one. Ben has. And I'm also going to be honest, based on his review of said, movie, I didn't just rush out to go see it. So, warnings ahead of time. Spoiler.
This is not a spoiler-free episode.
Right.
It is not at all.
Yeah. So, be forewarned if you want to go watch the Indiana Jones movie that there might be some spoiler content.
I will not ruin the ending.
Yeah, me, myself, and I was so disappointed with the last one that I have not seen this one, even though it looks cinematographically beautiful. However, first one without Mr. Spielberg.
Yeah.
The director's fantastic.
It's the dude that did Logan.
Right. So
the Wolverine movie.
Boy, can he spin a yarn.
Yeah.
He's very good. However, I have been told and have been read with Ben Davis that goodness gracious, it just falters at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the collection thereof of Indiana Jones, and then we'll go from there. So, again, because your opinion is so strong, do you want to go from back to...
Well, I kind of want to rank the movies. I want this to be the definitive Indiana Jones episode, so it's going to be our thoughts on every movie. And I don't only want it to be our thoughts on every movie. I want it to be our thoughts in the movies in the order we like them the most.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be very, very similar to each other's. We might have a difference in a couple, but for the most part, I think we're going to be very close. I know our number one will probably be the same.
I think our number one's going to be the same, too.
Well,
I think I might be wrong.
We could be wrong.
We have both been wrong and correct simultaneously on times.
I know our 1 and 2 will either be the same or
I think
be
our
transposed.
1 and 2 are going to be the same, but possibly transposed.
Exactly.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, let's start off.
So
with
let's just get into
the last one. Last one's going to be the last movie. The one that's out right now.
So let's go from the bottom up. I have not seen it.
However, it's going to be the worst.
I have found
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
Boom. Dun 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 dun.
John Williams.
I'm old and I'm an angry old man.
That is funny
the theme of the film, everybody.
That is funny as hell. And once again, just repeating myself, Ben Davis had seen it and let me in on what he thought about it before I had purchased tickets. Because you went the first week, right?
Out of the theater.
You were first week, right?
Second
week, okay. And so, just based off of what I have heard, again, and Ben Davis is slightly different than the majority in the fact that he thinks it falls apart earlier. But most everybody says it falls apart by the third act. And, that's kind of disappointing for me, having not seen it yet. I cannot stand Crystal Skull. So, I'm going to kind of back up here and let, whatever spoilers, you're not going to bother me.
Okay.
So, warning.
There's going to be a few here.
Danger, Will Robinson. There are spoilers ahead.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a review spoiler-esque. I will not go much to the end. But it starts off in a true Indiana Jones fashion because they de-aged him for the beginning.
Yes, I've seen online some of that.
Yeah, it looks good.
And I from what I saw, it did look good. The de-aging doesn't look as bad as some of these other films.
They've come a long way. And he's back when he's in the... What's it called? When he's an officer but he's not like in the true armed forces. He's like a spy. It's not the CIA back then.
Oh yeah.
It's not the OSS because he's not British.
No.
He's oh my lord, it's blown through me.
Yeah, you just.
But that's what he is.
He is a civilian military contractor.
Yeah,
for all intents.
But he
and purposes.
does have a rank.
He does. But at some point in the military, if you start doing things like he did, you get a different title, and rank really doesn't matter anymore.
So he's looking for the spear that pierced Jesus's
the spear
side.
of destiny.
Yeah, and that's the spear they stabbed Jesus, make sure he was dead, and the blood.
Dude, John Constantine.
Yeah. So it's a fake. The whole thing it's all set up to be this big deal and this big
and
science.
It turns out to be a fake?
Yeah, the Nazi scientist here is supposed to do some big magical bullshit. So, it's true Indiana fashion. It reminds you so much of the first 1 and 3 that it's just like, this is great. This is awesome. So, I'm loving this movie so much. It's going to be awesome.
Realistically action-packed?
Yes.
For as far as movie goes...
The first
somewhat
15 minutes are spectacular.
Oh, I don't like the way you're. I don't like where you're going.
It takes you back to the good old times.
Right.
It's not until the bomb moment, which we'll also refer to as the fridge moment.
Oh Lord.
Where they're trying to punish him as the Nazis have caught him, and a bomb from a B-52 drops at his feet, but doesn't explode, but continues to bore through a old 18th century farmhouse.
When you mean bore, like, again, not having seen the movie, what do you mean by bore? When I think of bore,
it's so hot, it's continuing to burn through the ground.
A bomb that is hot crashed through a ceiling without igniting.
Exactly.
And then continued to burn through a floor?
Yes. And he was on the 3rd floor in the attic. It crashed in, did not explode. They all look at it and they're like, oh, holy hell, we're lucky. And then it was so hot, it crashed on through that floor.
Oh, and then
went through the second floor, and then blew up on the bottom floor. And they all lived.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. The bombs they were dropping during World War II leveled buildings.
I know. That was it for me. I was like, well, this movie's a bunch of bullshit.
I didn't like the beginning of Crystal Skull, literally, for that
and
exact same reason.
That was for me, Indiana Jones 1, 2, and 3, he was not a fantastical human being. He was a man. He would get shot and he would get hurt.
Oh,
you could knock him out.
He's not a fantastical man, not in a masculinist type way. Yes. We're talking about the fact that he was real in the fact that he took things and did stuff. I know exactly what you're talking about. Hold on 1 second, listeners. We're going to take like a 5-minute break. We got we've already did 2 podcasts today and they were erased and yada, yada, yada. Because we upgraded our equipment this weekend. Yeah. And so as we look at we're just looking at the monitor, making sure everything comes through. So we're going to do a sound check real quick and then we're going to come right back.
All right, let's see. All right, and we're back. And sorry about that break. New equipment, learning disabilities.
Fantastical audio equipment that needs more than one channel input, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. We're learning as we go. We don't usually stop in the middle of a segment like that. We really apologize.
Yeah, the last time we did that, it was when I was on call.
Yeah. So, Indy, he's not usually, doing great leaps of fate and...
Agreed.
He's not in Mission Impossible.
No, never has been.
Exactly.
Now, he puts himself in some situations that are fantastical.
Yeah.
However, I've talked about it on the podcast before, so I'm not saying anything that's outside of the scope of where I'm being consistent. And I have consistently said I hate the 4th movie with a burning passion. And most of that has to do with the fact that the first 3 have such a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I can dig it.
You know what I mean? Like, sort of like Star Wars. and not to make those folks that love 7, 8, 9 angry, but they're shit compared to 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
They're not as good. I'm sorry. Yeah. They use more green screens and CGI, whereas the originals used models and had people on the ground taking miniatures and shooting shots in the desert, and there was just a lot of heart put into those movies, whereas it feels like the last 3 movies are, I'm just being honest, man, they just feel more like a political message than a way for you to just escape and relax.
I'm glad you just brought that up. Because The Last Jedi, or people complain about Mark Hamill and how he wasn't like Luke. Well, I complain about this movie because this was not like Indiana Jones.
All right.
He was an angry hermit of a man. That's not my Indy.
I love that you brought that up because, again, me not having seen the movie, that gives me something. I hate to do it, but I will expect it when I come to the movie. But, yeah, people have forgotten about the interview that Mark Hamill did right after the movie came out.
Which movie?
The first one. Or, no, excuse me, the second one.
Which... The Star Wars, the sequels?
Yes.
So The Last Jedi.
What is the final one where they...
That's The Rise of Skywalker.
See, that's how little I know. And I'm embarrassed.
It goes The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, which is the one where Luke dies with the Force projection.
Okay, so...
And then it's The Rise of Skywalker.
Mark Hamill is in an interview about... And he even says, Luke Skywalker doesn't give up.
Yeah.
That's not the character I know. But now that interview has been squashed.
Yeah.
Like, literally squashed 1,000 times over. I happened to find it when I got my Facebook back.
Okay.
Because I had saved it. And I'm running through it, and I'm like, what's this? And him talking about how he despised the Luke that they put out. Didn't just hate it, despised it. And he said, that's not the character that I portrayed in the first movies. So I'm having a hard time doing it in the second one because Luke's not a hermit. Luke is not a give up and go away guy. Luke is a face things head on guy.
Well, I sent you that article about how everybody found out about the lineage that they had with Anakin Skywalker and Anakin becoming Darth Vader. And
right.
I can kind of understand why he became a hermit after reading that, how all became canon. So they made sense why he became the way he did.
In somebody's sense.
Well,
it's not my sense.
You didn't understand it. You read it and you couldn't understand how he became the way he did.
No.
That's so
based on the character I know.
Well, looking at
it, you've given me a limited amount of exposure to a character.
For me, looking at it from a human standpoint, I'm like, yeah, I can see why he went the way that he did.
Sorry.
But
my Luke never, again, we've talked about it. My Luke never holds the lightsaber to Kylo. My Luke talks to Kylo about what he's feeling in him.
Yeah.
Like Yoda had no problems telling young Anakin, you got a lot of darkness, kid. I don't even want you trained.
Yeah.
Yoda had no problems telling Luke, you got a lot of doubt, kid. You got a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, Luke was taught by, again, we're talking fantastical ideas, but Luke was taught to never give up hope. Never.
Okay.
And Luke, who was shooting swamp rants in his 213, or whatever it was, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't give up hope. He's he's basically the equivalent of a space farm boy, right?
Yeah.
And he gets into like an X-wing. I mean, I know you're a good pilot, kid, but oh my God, now you're flying in outer space, not in Atmo. You're not shooting swamp rats. You're shooting things that shoot back. I mean, that was kind of like the whole lore and the whole fantasy of it was that under overwhelmingly negative situations, the brave don't give up hope and soldier forth. And so the kid, once again, that all he wanted to do was go to Tosche Station, ends up fighting in an intergalactic war.
Yeah.
Blowing up a quintillion-dollar, station, battle station. Killing millions of people.
Countless people.
And Admiral Toph.
Well, that's exactly how Indy was in the first movies. He never wanted to do these things. He just wanted to get it to a museum, but he always wound up in some sort of issue towards the end of the movie that something bad happened. A bunch of people died, but he always got the artifact back to where it belonged.
But see, here's the difference. Is what I'm saying is that Indy is in the first 3 movies.
He's even in the 4th one, in my opinion. But in this one, he is not.
Maybe
in
a little
this one, he is a pissed off old man who wants nothing but to drink himself to death.
Ooh, that's hard to see my Indy doing that.
I mean, there's big celebrations going on where he's living at this time.
Right.
And all he wants to do is huff and puff and do his best Harrison Ford angry impression.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's try to take it from, let's say, again, we're talking about movies. Let's try to take it from a realistic standpoint.
I was falling asleep in the middle of this movie. I had to get up and go to the restroom and splash water on my face.
There's a lot of pissed off 70-year-old dudes. Like angry, bitter old guys. I said the joke on a former podcast. The only realistic thing about Indiana Jones 5 is a professor who refuses to retire at 80.
Oh, he was retiring. This was the point of the movie. He was like, this is it. So that was another thing. I read this. So instead of, he was seeing eyelids in this film.
Right.
In The Last Crusade, he saw eyelids, but those eyelids said, I love you. These eyelids were saying, I'm going to sleep.
Okay, now you got me there. But, however, I'm still going to stick with my original thought process because I haven't seen the movie, so I cannot go there the way you can. But I'm going to stick with my original thought process of sometimes these older characters are brought back, and instead of, let's say, giving them a hero's death, they're giving them, an angry old man set off. Arrgh. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that shit. I'm just going to be honest. Should have been, honestly, just get Jeff Dunham and Walter to play the part.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the Skull of Destiny, I don't think so. You know what I mean? You might as just, just with his hands folded the entire time, looking at you like, oh, I'm not happy. I'm old. Get off my lawn. Get off my Spirit of Destiny.
Doing his best Hank Hill there.
I'm just saying, so that's, I know it's a little bit different, at least for me, but like Luke Skywalker, I just feel like sometimes they bring these characters back, and I don't feel like the positivity and some of the Western cowboy aspects of their personalities, it's like they just disappear.
Yeah.
So, not having seen 5, but having seen 4, so again, I'm gonna lean into you with this, and again, spoilers. Danger, Will Robinson. So, I guess what I would want to know, if I was just a listener, is what's your breakdown of the movie in terms of successes and failures?
The beginning was a success.
We've talked about
up
that.
Until
are there any other ones? Any cool indie moments?
There was one moment towards the middle,
right,
where he had a flat. He was doing climbing a rock face.
Okay.
And he was with a younger person, and they're like, why'd you stop moving? Keep going. It's easy. He's like, I'm thinking. And then they're like, think faster. He's like, I'm old. You haven't had to drink the blood of
right.
What was that person's Mumaduma or whatever it was?
Yeah, Balaram Asalam.
Yeah, that's what he said. And then you haven't been shot 9 times, once by your father, and then he said something else, and I was
he
like,
does have a point. I'm just saying.
And then at that moment, I leaned over to Amelia and I said, "That was the best part of the movie
so far." Right? Yeah.
No, period.
Oh, was that near the end?
That was almost like the dead middle. And then after that, it was a middle. After that, it was a downhill spiral.
So negative feedback, Luke, from that point on.
Pretty much, in my opinion. From that point on, my eyelids got real heavy.
You got so uninterested. Now, this is something to be said because Ben and I both would have fedoras and bullwhips if we could. We love We both.
Oh, I do. Yes,
we love Indiana Jones in the Prime movies.
Oh gosh, yes.
So fun to watch, so even family friendly.
Yeah.
I don't have to go there with it, but no curse words, really, no sex. It was just a great action flick with a great main character, correct? You know what I mean? So that kind of, that's a little disappointing hearing that you, who I trust your movie opinions, started to fall asleep halfway through the brand new one that's just out. Yeah. You see where I'm going? Like, It's brand new. Like, you haven't seen it before, but it's so uninteresting to as big of an indie fan as you are, just like me, that you started to fall asleep. Is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And you know something else that got me? At the beginning, whenever it says the Lucasfilm thing comes across.
Yes.
And I was sitting there and I was like, it's been out for over a week and something. I said, but if this was still a Star Wars film, people would still be clapping. And like, yeah! It was silent.
Oh.
And then when that happened, then I was like, maybe that's just because I'm in here at like 4:45 and
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Like, okay, maybe.
Matinee, yeah.
Yeah, so it keeps going on. And by the time that they said that he did the part, I'm like, this is the best part. And then it kept going. And then I'm sitting there with the wife, and I'm like, I am ashamed that I said, let's go see this movie in the theater.
All right, so from my perspective, having seen the fourth one, that just really sounds very similar to what I felt during Crystal Skull, just being honest.
Okay, well, we can move on to that one, which I think would be next on the list.
It would be. So if there's 5,
films.
Apparently 5 is even worse than Crystal Skull, so I'm going to trust your judgment and go with it as number 5, but we'll get into Crystal Skull now. Abomination of a film, in my opinion. Now, hey, look, I'm not going to.
Oh, I forgot the point where he was in a little motorboat,
right?
Like the size of like a cigarette boat from Miami Vice.
So, like what we call a pond boat in the South.
He took that from basically Australia all the way to Italy.
Because pond boats can deal with, seawater.
It was great, too, because they even used the special effects they used to use where they'd show you the map and the dots.
No.
And when they did that, I leaned over to the wife. I said, that boat isn't going that far.
I was going to say.
And she's like, yeah, I know.
Well, number 1, where's the gasoline coming from?
Exactly.
Number 2, I'm glad you showed me the dots, because technically in real life, all you see is a guy struggling at sea.
At least he said, is this thing full of gas? And they went, yeah. He's like, let's go.
That ain't happening. Yeah. That just ain't.
That was good times, man.
What, maybe... I'm going to go 2,000 miles, possibly.
It was a good bit.
Yeah, maybe 3,000. You're not doing that.
It was a hell of a drive.
On the freaking ocean.
Yes, it was ridiculous.
Okay, so that is a little bit of ridiculous. So we'll go into Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
I've already said my opinion on it, but I am going to espouse why. All right?
Okay, let's hit it.
These are just my reasons. Like I said, I'm not going to judge anybody for liking the movies in different orders. However, number 1, Shia LaBeouf.
I actually missed him in this recent one.
Loved him when he was younger and an actor.
Disturbia was a great, awesome movie.
He was in iRobot.
Yes, he
was in the John Wick movie. Or not John Wick, but John Constantine movie. We talked about the Spear of Destiny.
Yes.
He was in Transformers even, like,
one and 2.
And I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, he was
young, kind of peppy, like, new actor.
I still think Disturbia was probably really, really good up there.
I mean, honestly, he's a good actor. But, whoa. Did you try to shove Indy's son down our throat?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but as a medical person, someone that pays attention to genetics in the general world, there's very little chance that a 6'2" Harrison Ford and a 5'8" Miriam have a 5'5" kid. Will it happen? Yes, there are recessive genes, etc. They didn't look alike. They didn't act alike. Nothing. There was no similarity. And I know this kid never was raised by him. But, I hate to go all Thanos, but, petulant child.
I mean, well, I'm 6'1.5". My wife's 5'6", and our daughter's only 5'4".
Female genetics versus male genetics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see your point. It's not like, again, any recessive gene can do.
It happens. I mean,
right,
sometimes there's always I'm the shortest person in my family.
At 6'3", I am too. Yeah. But just a bad choice.
And it really burns my ass that I'm the shortest person in the family.
It happens. But just a bad choice overall for his son.
Yeah.
He was a popular actor at the time. Get that, sure. I know why you cast him. But just a bad choice. All right, so then number 2. Yeah, there are ants that create bridges.
Those are some big fucking ants.
There is no such thing as an ant that chases you on a motorized vehicle. And there's no such thing as an ant that builds a bridge to reach you.
Yeah.
When you're hanging from the air. I don't mind stretches of scientific reality where they just broke it. They just fucking broke it like they did with the damn opening sequence.
Those ants were much bigger than anything in Ant-Man.
Those ants are bigger than any ant on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
Apparently, they have centralized intelligence because they can work together in a team on the spot. Not just planning.
Yeah.
The water's rising. Let's all grab each other and form a ball. And because we're small, there'll be pockets of oxygen, and we'll roll literally as a ball to another spot.
Yeah.
That has happened in fire ant history. That's a real thing. They have built bridges using bodies during an attack. That is a real thing. You're 10 feet off the air, and the ants build a weird cone to reach you because apparently ants are the size of small birds. No, terrible. Him swinging through the jungle like a monkey. Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't cuss a lot in this podcast, listeners, so when I do, I'm telling you my honest to God's truth opinion on something. No human being ever has been able to swing through the jungle on vines like a monkey and have the monkey troop following.
No.
Does not happen. And then the whole alien trans-universe thing was just stupid. Yeah. It was dumb. So, I will be honest. My top 3, which are obvious now because we're talking about 5 and 4, the religious motive. Christianity, Hinduism, Christianity. There was some little tiny aspect in there of truth. They expounded on, let's say, the mythos. But it was a cool, almost believable expanding. Now, they had the fantastical end at the end of Raiders with the ghosts and the melting of faces. I don't remember them
putting any ghosts inside the Ark of the Covenant.
No, not necessarily. And then the whole, I'm going to get shot and have the water pouring out.
Yeah.
They had to make something fantastical to keep, let's say, within the realm of Indiana Jones. I want to have a discussion.
Let's talk about the fridge scene.
Oh, my opinion.
I sent you that article. Lucas had said that he read somewhere that some scientists had said it was a 50-50 chance you could survive that.
That article,
I can't remember. I sent you this thing. I can't remember where this scientist was from.
It said he could have, but he probably wouldn't. And I wanted to reply back to him, you're an idiot, because 90% of this article talks about how he wouldn't.
Yeah, his chances were like equal to like less than 1%.
No, it's like literally 1/1000th of a percent.
Yeah.
Again, when you're in a certain, so off subject, I'm going to fly my nerd flag.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a certain conical, circular area of an atomic bond,
that's a good one.
The heat melts everything.
Yeah, that was the thing. They were talking about how he would survive that. Another thing that got me was...
No, he wouldn't have. A fridge would have melted.
That was the thing. It would have fridge. But not only that, I believe another thing that it said was if he could have survived the initial hit, it would have automatically severed his spinal cord.
1,000% the shockwave.
Exactly. Because for it to have moved at the force, he would have had to been so close that it would have disintegrated the fridge automatically.
And once again, how did that fridge door stay closed?
He held it. Come on, Justin.
As it's going hundreds of miles an hour being flipped over, he has the presence of mind to hold on to the door.
He used his whip.
Dude, come on. You know what I mean? Like
it's Indiana Jones.
But that is not Indiana Jones. I will correct you. Indiana throwing his whip up there and swinging across a limb. That's plausible. That I get. As a kid, I think it's awesome. I want to whip and I want to swing across rivers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Put me in a lead-lined fridge for a nuclear bomb test? No.
Hard pass.
It's hard. That's a hard no. You know what I mean? It's a hard pass. So, the movie was just so disappointing to me. I can't express.
It was a fun movie.
I never found it that way because it was just so...
You couldn't get past the fact of who it was.
Yeah.
I think there's people who find this last movie fun, but I couldn't. I'm like you. For me, it ruined my childhood almost.
Well, okay, so I understand that. And there are certain movies that the suspension of disbelief is expected, correct?
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's how my father-in-law is. He goes into every film, and he brings no baggage from the outside world into it. And he just suspends everything. And he's like, well, that was really fun. Oh, well, imagine how cool it would be if that really happened. How neat would that be?
Right.
It's so cool that he can think of things that way.
I wish I could.
And then his wife ruins it all.
Yeah, well, again, I am sorry. I understand the wife's perspective. And I'll call back to a previous podcast. The Transformers movies from Michael Bay are great movies about robots who transform.
Yeah.
They are horrible Transformers movies.
Okay.
But when I just accept the fact that this is not my Transformers, not my childhood cartoons, and just go into it in the fact that I'm going to watch giant robots fight each other. Yeah, it's a fun film. It's fun to watch. These movies are not.
Okay, fair enough.
Because in one, you are literally already setting me up with the idea that these are sentient robots from a different planet of sentient robots.
Okay.
Now, once again, they don't follow my childhood Transformers storyline, but you're setting me up for a fantastic voyage.
Okay, yeah.
So to speak, in the first place. So I was able during that movie, like I hated it the first time, I literally told myself, watch it just as like Pacific Rim or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it became very fun to watch. Michael Bay loves some explosions.
Yeah.
We talked about the robots being too close when fighting and it being just a garbled mess up on the TVs or TV and or movie theater screen. Still fun. Indiana Jones was not fun. It just bordered on ludicrous.
Absurdity, huh?
Even better. Thank you very much. That is a so much better word for what I intend.
Yeah.
Absurd. So, given that, I just can't ever recommend that movie to anybody. And faithful listeners, I'm going to be 100% honest here. I've seen Crystal Skull once.
I'm going to say I think I've seen it 3 times.
I watched it in the theater, and I said, I'm never giving money to that bullshit ever again. And I refuse to watch it anytime it comes on TV. Because I don't want my number being even in a Nielsen rating or anything like that. To show any type of support for that bullshit. Just not going to do it. I can't do it. It's like when Dragon Ball Z came out with their first movie. I love Dragon Ball Z. It had James Masters, who was Spike in Buffy, as one of the main characters.
Yeah.
Oh, they butchered everything about it and made it absolutely ridiculous. That is one of the other few movies. There really are few movies that I say, I will never touch you again.
Yes.
But it's the same complaints, let's say, same paradigm that I refuse to watch. Because you took source material, shit on it, put it in a blender, and whatever came out, whatever survived in pieces, that's what you tack together and make a movie out of. So I'm going to stand firm on that.
When I think of Crystal Skull, the first part that comes to my mind, other than the fridge, is the part where they're jumping between the Jeeps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what comes to my mind. But you're right. Yeah, it's a lowly film. It really
is. At best.
It's a 4 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10.
That got Shia got blacklisted for speaking the truth.
He got killed off.
Oh, again, when you speak about a movie that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg made, and they have put you, because honestly, that's good graces with 2 of the highest grossing directors of all time. They're being nice to you by putting you in the film. You can't say anything negative or you're going to get shit on. And I'm going to be honest with you, he was right. It's not, it was pure pettiness that got him blackballed. But when he called it a shit film, it was a shit film.
I think this new one would have been better with him in it.
Oh, wow. I like him as an actor, so I would have even liked to have seen him in it, just maybe for, hey, I'm going to make up for the last one.
You know? Well, this is interesting. What would be your number 3?
Number 3 is going to be Temple of the Doom.
There we go. We concurred. Okay. Now
not Temple of the Doom. Temple of Doom. I was just being silly.
That's always been when you really talk about Indiana Jones, a lot of people just leave off these last 2.
Agreed.
And sort of like they do with Star Wars, it's the OT, the original trilogy, or nothing.
I agree with that as well. Yes, sir. So, 100%. Yeah.
I really hope they leave this Indiana Jones shit alone and do not make a 3rd one so they have another trilogy.
Right.
Because it does end with him grabbing that fucking hat out the window.
There you go.
That's the closing scene. Hand on hat.
He has said that's the last time he's ever going to be that character.
He holds tight to when he says
he said no more Solo, there was no more Solo.
He did come back as Force Ghost.
Yeah, you're right, he did. I'm sorry. That's a great point.
And he said he did it for the money. It was a lot of money.
Oh, well then that's against... Okay, so that is Harrison Ford, but that's also him saying it's for a lot of money.
So you think if they offered this man $100 million to come back and play for one more time, he wouldn't do it?
Because of the difficulties he had on filming this one.
Well, he's old.
He admits that he's old. And he just says, I can't do it like I used to.
We're going to offer you $100 million to come back and do Indy 6, where you are basically on the sidelines coaching a person.
That I can see. Now, that, even if he was in a hospital bed.
Yeah. We're not in the 60s. We're in the 70s at this point, we're going to say.
Right. Well, almost 80s.
Yeah.
So if he was... Even a perfect send-off would... For me, just Indiana Jones just popped in my head. I think a perfect send-off would be to pass the torch to someone else. And how he does it is that he's in a hospital bed and he's recounting facts, almost like his dad did when he got the bullet wound.
Yeah.
You know, take this journal. This will help you, you know, with all this different stuff. And he's, you know, people are coming by. Maybe even people trying to kill him in the bed or whatever. But that's the minimum amount that 80-year-old Harrison Ford has to do.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a brilliant way to hand it off to another actor. However, I cannot and will not see Indiana Jones the same way as I did with Solo, the movie.
Yeah.
Yes, you're a great actor, but you're 5'0" nothing. Harrison's 6'1", 6'2". The least you could have done is gone out and get somebody that looks like him at least.
Well, I don't think we'll have to worry about it. This movie has not made the money back.
Oh, no, it is. It's done very, very poorly. And I'm going to be honest. It seems like Hollywood's just like, I don't understand. Why is the box office bad? Well, Barbie just made $150 million. And like you said, and like a lot of people are saying, it's a fun watch. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So, Indy did well his first weekend. He did horrible the second weekend. And I think that is word of mouth. I honestly do believe that now, when you can so quickly, let's say, get in touch with your buddies, your friends, and whoever it may be.
Oh, yeah.
And tell them this movie sucks. I'm sorry, at our age especially. Oh, I don't have to spend $60, $70 to go to the movies? Because if you go at night, let's just say it's like
no
me.
Joke.
Like you and I both have 3 people families.
Mm-hmm.
$20 a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Easy $50-$60 on popcorn, drinks, right?
Yeah.
So if let's say you don't get any snacks or even sneak them in, you're talking about $60.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
To be disappointed.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you're going to lose a lot of people that way. You're going to lose them very quickly. And, you know, for as much as theaters say they're losing that and losing... No, I'm sorry, the movie quality over the last 10 years, outside of specific genres, has just continued to decline.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would get the Marvel, let's say, get tired of it.
Okay, I understand.
Well, they have made me tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they keep putting out subpar films. When those first 20 films came out, I would say maybe 3 of them were duds. Maybe 4 of them.
That's hard to say something. We say when the first 20 came out.
Yeah, like Iron Man 3 was...
Yeah, I know, but I'm just
shit.
saying, that's hard. You don't hear that often in it. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. Yeah, I was just watching the first 20 in a series.
The Avengers saga,
yeah,
as we know it, is 22 movies long, 23 movies long.
Mm.
They set themselves up for the win.
And they're working on doing it again, but they're not doing it well.
They are trying the same magic, but they keep putting shit movies out. That's the difference. Superhero... What's the word I'm looking for here? When you get
fatigue.
Tired. Thank you so much, sir. Superhero fatigue is coming, and it's coming fast. If they don't start doing at least somewhat more original ideas.
Yeah.
We talked about it with our difference in opinion on Quantumania.
Yes.
You really liked it. I didn't hate it. You didn't super love it, right?
I thought it was one of the best of the 3.
Oh wow, okay. So I'll give you that.
The only reason I liked it was because of the sci-fi aspect of it.
Again, I'm gonna go straight Invincibles on you, or not Invincibles, The Incredibles.
Okay.
If everybody's special, nobody is.
Yeah.
And I
like the father-daughter aspect of it too. That really got me.
That was anything. One of the... Okay, so you got me 100% there. Yes, that's one of the things that I definitely drew me more into the movie than I would have been. Give me no daughter? There's no way I'm watching this movie the same way.
I'm 100% with you. If it hadn't been for her, I wouldn't have thought as much about it.
Again.
But even that, I was like,
so
I can see this.
I give you that, but I just don't think without the daughter I'm even going to see it.
I did miss the Mexican fellow though.
Oh my gosh. Yes, 1,000%. I think what made that particular movie, and yes, I'm sorry, listeners, I know we're not talking about Indiana Jones now, but it's the concept of things.
Yeah.
He made those movies in a slight way.
Yeah, he and T.I.
Oh God,
they were hilarious.
Well, it was Paul Rudd, T.I., and even that
guy.
I
can't remember his name.
And the guy that's so famous now.
Yeah,
that was Polka Dot.
Yeah, you're right. Polka Dot Man.
Although his Russian accent was miserably horrible. That was one of the worst performances he's ever turned in. Now, Polka Dot Guy, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought, what the hell is this? And then you see his power, and you're like, holy hell!
Wow, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
I thought he did just a genius job, but his inclusion in the Ant-Man films before, obviously, this, when they went Quantum Mania, any person who did any research about the way Russians talk would have known that, you're adding in words that you shouldn't hear.
He's doing my Russian accent.
Russians don't have the word "the."
Yeah.
And he uses the word "the" a lot.
Go to store.
Instead of go to the store.
Exactly.
Pass salt. Instead of pass the salt.
They're very abrupt people.
It's just, in the language sense they are. But it's also get to the point. You know what I mean?
I can dig it.
But I love.
No time for these.
Don't get me wrong.
No time for articles in my language.
I liked his character in Quantum Mania. I just the little Russian thing just drove me batshit crazy. Sorry.
Let's circle us back into Temple of Doom.
I'm sorry. We did go off on
it's the only prequel of the 5.
Yes, and I love the fact that you shared that article.
It's easy to forget
that it is a prequel. You forgot,
because it's so subtle you don't notice. But it starts off. Is he Hong Kong?
Yes.
And it's got that. It's the 30s, but it presents like the 20s in Hong Kong.
I would say, well, just given that the fact that the first one had Nazis, which really were more of a 1940s thing, the fact that it's 1930s Hong Kong even says this is pre-World War II.
Yeah, but they have like the big band,
God,
the woman with the boas. They're all dressed in like tuxedos. Like not quite flapper dresses, but very close.
They were close, yeah.
That's why I said it gave off that vibe.
Almost like the evolution of that dress.
Almost as if what was happening in America was not happening there.
Agreed.
So it really does kind of mess with your mind if you're paying attention to it and you know the history of the world at the time.
It was, you're right. You're 100% right about that.
So, I do not like the sidekicks in this film. I do not like that woman. She should have fallen off the rope bridge.
And again, no spoilers from me because I haven't seen it, but I have seen that exact sentiment expressed on Reddit a couple of times. Seriously, like, there's something about her got the public's ire, and I don't know what it was. But it's fantastic. I wasn't going to bring it up just because it's Reddit. People talk out of their asses.
It's just my opinion. I've never read that.
Wow, that is crazy. No, a lot of people talked about disliking her a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her in Temple of Doom. I do not like her. She almost ruins it for me.
I think it's
I like Round Eye better than her.
Short Round?
Yeah, Short Round, whatever his name is.
Round Eye.
Yeah,
Short Round.
I knew he had some sort of round in his name.
Yeah, Short Round. She is a very divisive character.
Yeah.
People either love her or they hate her.
She was a sad substitute for Marion.
Yeah, she was. And I can see both. Well, she's Steven Spielberg's wife. So
she was?
I'm almost 100% sure, yeah.
Is she still?
I do not know, but I'm almost positive that they are married.
Bullshit job.
However, that's like James Gunn and his wife being in certain DC films. I didn't know she was his wife.
How that super nerd got that hot woman?
I don't know. But, she's the blonde girl from Peacemaker.
Yeah, she's a very attractive lady.
Very attractive lady, and I think she's a great Great actress.
Good actress.
So I don't understand the hate or the.
And he looks like us.
You're damn Skippy. But we made movies. Come on now. Because sometimes that character can either be endearing or so screechy annoying. Sometimes they take the girliness level to like 11. You know what I mean? Where she's complaining about everything. At some point, for the first couple of minutes, you're like, typical woman from the 80s. Har, 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 har. And then 10 minutes later, you're like, okay, now you're just taking stereotypes and like amplifying them 1,000.
Yeah.
This is not how real people act. Now, granted, she is supposedly portraying a high-paid white American person in China. Yeah. So maybe she was used to a certain level of whatever.
Diva-ness.
Perfect. Yes, that's awesome. Thank you, sir.
Early day Mariah Carey.
Little bit of a diva. However, that can grate on your nerves after a while. Okay. Especially as someone... I've never yelled at a movie screen. I've wanted to, but I've never done it. But the one scene where Indy and Short Round are about to die from the spikes, and all she has to do is just reach her hand in there and pull the lever. I just wanted to smack a bitch. And I would never hit anyone.
Push you around.
Not much. I don't believe in violence, especially male on female violence. So I was using that as hyperbole. But yes, I'm like, stick your fucking hand in there, woman! Save Indiana Jones! So
and the kid too.
And I know Spielberg drew it out for the tension. So of course he did his job because I felt that tension. But there's a difference between building tension and building annoying.
Yeah.
So it's building tension to a certain point, and then after that...
To the extreme.
You are like, Mother Humper, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm tired of listening to her yell.
If I ever see Steven Spielberg, I'm going to punch you in the face for that, buddy.
Oh, I'd give him a giant hug and say, thank you for all the years of entertainment.
Thank you for all the creatures.
But also, screw you for getting so serious in your later years that you no longer wanted to make films.
Very true.
I mean, with
he was serious to begin with.
He was always serious, but Schindler's List?
Yeah.
That's why he said he'd never make another movie with Nazis in it.
He said at the beginning, the very first thing he made, and then he went to make Jaws, and he wanted to get out of making Jaws in the middle of it because he was afraid that he would be known as the shark guy. So and they wouldn't let him out of the contract, so he had to finish. I'm like, when I read that, I lost a little bit of respect for him.
I don't know how filmmaking works, so I'm not going to say that I lose respect. And I was, both of us were either not born or really young when Jaws came out.
I wasn't alive, but I mean, everybody in the 80s
went to go watch that
knew
movie.
Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws 3D.
Either you didn't see it, but you knew of it. You knew the cover of it.
Oh, God.
And you knew the tagline, safe to go in the water.
HBO was where I saw my first Jaws movie, and it was because HBO had those little 3D glasses.
Jaws 3D, buddy. With Dennis Quaid,
You could go and buy it 7-Eleven or whatever. It said the Jaws pack for HBO, and you bought like 2 sodas, and now it's in 3D. Yeah, dude. When you sell millions of tickets, you really don't need to be worried about what they're going to label you as, because you're going to be given another opportunity to film something different.
Yeah.
And so with Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., etc.
Yes.
Became one of the most well-known American film sci-fi.
We'll be doing one on E.T. at some point. We just have to.
Oh, yeah, that changed a lot of things, and like we said in a former podcast, that almost was the first example of product placement in a film.
Yeah.
So,
well, another scene of this one. Well, there's a bunch of scenes in this film that are just outstanding, but the film as a whole just doesn't hold up to the other two from the first three. But there's scenes that place it above it in certain times.
Well, I think
like the bridge scene.
Yeah.
But my favorite scene as a kid growing up was when they're at the table and they're eating and they open the monkey brains, and then the little snakes crawling around. That was a good one.
Eyeball soup.
Yeah, I'll remember that forever.
Hard to ever forget that. But I'm going to be honest with you. As you were just speaking,
yeah,
and as I was thinking about the 5 films as a whole,
yeah,
my appreciation with them drops the more ridiculous they get.
Yeah.
So
I understand that. This was
we
ridiculous.
both know our
the
1
rail
and 2.
cars.
We'll talk about it after the break with our 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But those are also the ones that could have possibly happened.
Yeah.
Aliens? Nah. Going back in time? Nah.
No.
Mola Masalam taking your heart? You betrayed Shiva? Nah. The other
those stones do hold some truth.
The stones are actually
some real.
Yeah, but their powers.
What was that? Who was it that supposedly poured his soul into those?
Oh,
it was
God,
the guy
I just
from
read it.
Hinduism or Buddhism.
It was Hinduism. It's not Shiva. That's the head one. Oh God, my brain's not working. There's Shiva. There's the Destroyer. Ganesh. My buddy that was from India taught me the religion, but my brain's not pulling it up.
I just read it, but I cannot pull it.
And I remember when reading an article that you sent.
Yes.
I do remember reading that the stones were an actual Hindu religious artifact. Yes. So that's why I'm going to say that there's 3 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because 2 are, be honest with you, they're fairy tales.
Yes.
Now, whether you believe in religion or not, that's not for me to discuss with you or anybody. However, everybody knows about the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about the cup.
Yes.
So, when you said Spear of Destiny,
mm-hmm.
a tiny little moment in time, I thought, wow, that is another very Christian religious thing.
Yeah.
And you could have made it freaking awesome.
They could have.
But according to my buddy, you took a big wet dump on it.
They did. They could have made the whole film about that, but they didn't.
Yeah. The whole film of Constantine, again, is the Spear of Destiny, and it being the way for the Antichrist to move up. Now, you don't even have to go that religious with it. Just, That
it was a fake at the beginning, and then it jumps forward in time to him present. And they could have made the rest of the film about whoever the lady that shows up, his goddaughter, which they show in the previews. That's not a spoiler,
right? Yeah.
She comes in with she comes in with like some information. I think I may have uncovered it. Uncle Indy or whatever. He's like, well, let's go. I just retired, and then that could have been the whole thing. That would have been a whole lot better.
That honestly sounds like an awesome Indiana Jones film.
But no, they came up with this giant diarrhea diaper of a film.
That's fair.
But
all right, listeners.
Temple of Doom, like I said, the bridge scene's pretty damn awesome. That when you go to the fair or you come out of Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
They have that thing there where you can pose with your face in it.
Oh yeah.
That is the one Indiana Jones one that is everywhere. Is where he's standing there on the bridge with it wrapped around his arm.
Oh yeah.
And then the whip and the other one and the hat. That's the one where they superimpose your face on it.
Right.
That is the pose that's everywhere in America and probably all over the world. Whenever you get your face put on Indiana Jones, it's the pose from him standing in front of that bridge.
All right, I will.
That's how important it is.
I will agree with that. However, I won't think it's the most iconic scene with him in, because I have also seen millions of times people recreating the golden statue
with the weighted sand. I've not seen that.
I've seen lots of it because people will take. Okay, so I'm having trouble speaking. Let's take a 5-minute break.
All right, we'll finish that. We'll be back. Okay, and we've come back after we've had our medicines.
Yeah,
and
I apologize not to interrupt Ben Davis because I even asked him to bring us back in, and here I am yakking at the mouth. However, I apologize to the listeners. I have extremely bad heartburn, and it comes at different times. And right at the end of that last segment, I was belching Satan. So Ben Davis was nice enough to get me an antacid or an acid reducer. Yes. Now I'm feeling much better.
Probably the super sweet moonshine we're drinking.
You know what? I'm thinking that might have done it, or as I said,
either that or the Pizza Hut.
We had Pizza Hut, and
everyone who watches us and is also on our Facebook page will know that I said I was getting me some Pizza Hut this weekend.
I even talked about it at the beginning of the vlog, or no, I did not. Not this one. It was another one.
Yeah.
That one of I was so excited about getting Pizza Hut today when I came over. I'm like, Pizza Hut, yes. However, as I get older, lots of stuff that I get excited about. It's not doing anything but hurting me.
Their sauce is super sweet too. You've ingested a lot of sugar, my friend.
All I'm gonna say is that was one of the best pieces of pizza I've had in a long time. And
now we feel like
it is killing me. So,
yes.
But anyway,
I didn't bring a beer.
And so
it is.
Back into our original conversation, we got basically.
We were finishing up Temple of Doom. We're finishing up Temple of Doom. You said you've seen that scene. I've not really seen it, but I can dig it. That's probably one of the other than the scene with him and the machete. That is probably the other most iconic scene.
I think so. Yeah.
And Raiders is my number 2.
Then we agree.
That's your number 2?
That is my number 2.
I thought that would be your number 1. I thought you were going to be a classic man. I thought you were going to be. That's the best there is. That's the best there was. The best there ever will be.
Is it just a phenomenal movie? Yes.
Yeah.
However, I feel like the addition of Sean Connery.
Let's don't spoil our number 1. Let's just stick with this.
Everybody know there's only one movie left.
I know. We're going to talk about that.
All right, we'll go.
It is the best, and it deserves the best.
So we'll talk about
Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is what it's called. There's no Indiana Jones and.
No, it's called Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So when you go to see it, you don't think there's going to be anything else. You meet this brand new character who was Han Solo.
Supposed to be Tom Selleck.
It was Magnum P.I. There's even photos of it.
But it didn't work out. So we got the young and upcoming.
Wait a minute.
Han Solo.
Wait a minute. Wasn't it also supposed to be Al Pacino?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest.
It was either Al Pacino or Robert De Niro who recently said
that they passed on the movie.
That they passed on it, and that Harrison Ford owes his career to them.
Oh no, I definitely don't like that type of thing.
They said it
because Han Solo was before.
They kind of said it in their Hollywood joking manner, which also means that they
somewhat believe it.
Yes.
No, that's absolutely untrue. Harrison Ford was bound to be a star.
I mean, what was all around there? Frantic, the one where he was also in the Amish community.
Well, I mean, for me, so outside of Star Wars and Indiana Jones, the one that immediately sticks out from the 80s or early 90s is Richard Kimball.
Oh, The Fugitive. That's one of his best, if not the best film he's done.
Just about, yes, sir. Tommy Lee Jones, and just such a good movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the thing, I think what he's trying to say is that had it not been for Indiana Jones, he would not have probably gotten the roles that he got. He might have been a little.
I don't know, man.
He may not have been the A+ list that he was.
When do you happen to remember when Indiana Jones came out?
81. Indiana Jones is as old as I am.
At this point, he's been Han Solo twice.
He has. But we even talked about it. When we watched Return,
right?
He wasn't much.
Phoning it in.
Yeah. But if you think about it, his best performance as Han was in New Hope.
Agreed.
He was kind of a dick in Empire.
Yes, but it kind of built upon his character type, though. I felt like that was just an expansion of his character, being the selfish smuggler, whatever. But at the end with the "I love you, I know" and things like that, he kind of softened up and he became the scruffy nerf herder that everybody loved. However, in 3, or 6, as you want to call it, yeah, we both noticed it when we went to go see the 40th anniversary together.
Mm-hmm.
Never noticed it before. Never. But all of a sudden, you and I are sitting there and we're doing it for a podcast and we're paying attention. And I'm kind of like, I mean, he's just pretty much comic relief. You know, he just really doesn't have much going on in the 3rd.
No.
So, yeah.
And that's a crap.
I mean, how do you go through 2 Star Wars movies with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and then you don't get the Steven Spielberg-headed Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah, I think it went in order of, he did Empire, Indy, and then Return. I think those were the films he did in this order. If there's something in between, it's not a fantastic movie.
Other than Blade Runner.
When the hell? I think was that 80? Was that 80 as well?
I was either going to say like 78, 79, or 80. That was another really early film. And you are talking about yet another character that he got to play 30 years later with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
So
I love that thing I posted up. He's like, he didn't know his name. That's so awesome.
That was funny.
Like, what's your name again? Ryan. Oh yeah, that's right.
He's the dude. He doesn't care. Hollywood is not his master. You know what I mean? Like, he stars in films and you make money. But you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do. And he's one of the few actors, I think, that's achieved that status within Hollywood films. I'm going to be honest with you.
Raiders for me, well, obviously the beginning and the ball scene is spectacular. And then
grabbing the hat again, the whip, and sliding.
That has started. The grabbing of the hat started a trope that lives on today.
Yes, it sure damn does. Like anybody who does that, and so that was like my reference to it in the movie. How I thought it was weird how they brought back, and I can't remember what the heck it was that I was comparing it to, but you could tell it was making indie references because at one point he's trying to move something with weight, and then he's hiding from the bad guys, and he rolls underneath a like a table with a tablecloth. And the last thing he does is grab the hat and pulls it back. Oh, it was Marty McFly who did it. And
he did. It was in part 2
when he was coming back. Yes. That's the one. I remember it finally now. But there were so many like Raiders references in that. That was ridiculous. So yes, you were absolutely right in the fact that he made a scene that will, at least for people our age, you could show that clip with nothing else. No, not even sound. And we're like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
The boulder.
That's like a scene that we put in the board game Seen It, which I love so much.
Yes. I know that.
Name that movie. Oh, that's Raiders.
Right.
Like obviously everyone's going to know it, but the nerds like me are like, Raiders! That's why I always won the game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Watched so many movies as a kid.
The problem with that game right now?
What?
It's got a DVD with it. I don't even have a DVD player hooked up.
Holy crap! Yeah, you're right. I will be honest. Like one of my friends that lives in the neighborhood, he figured out somehow to get something on his TV that you use your cell phone as your controller.
Yeah.
So if you're doing trivia, it's on your phone, and you hit the button, and somehow it's transmitting through the Wi-Fi back to the TV.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it is very cool. Because you can get up to like 10 players.
Sweet.
You know what I mean? If you're playing with a video game suite or whatever, you might have 2 to 4 players. This, you can take 10 people, 10 cell phones in the room.
Yeah, because the most I've ever done is I've done it like on PlayStation, like what is it, Brain Games or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they have like little different games. You play as like a couples team.
These were similar to that.
Yeah.
But sometimes it was who makes the funniest response.
We've got to do that as your family versus my family.
Oh, God. No,
and
it's fun.
Then the children versus us.
It's fun, believe me. That's one of those things where the more ridiculous the answer, the better.
And what will be sad is when the kids beat both of us.
Yeah, she's already beat my ass in a lot of video games, so I've already given up that hope.
My kid can't beat me in trivia, but
no.
When she beats me in a history trivia, that means I have done my job well.
Yeah, hey, I like the way you're thinking on that, and you're absolutely right. Anywho, back to
Raiders.
Raiders.
Of the Lost Ark.
It
gives you so many great enemies. It gives you Nazis. It gives you snakes.
Yes, the guy with the sword that I just found out that the only reason he got shot was because Harrison Ford was sick as hell during the filming. They had a whole choreographed fight scene, almost like the third movie with the airplane running around.
Yeah, they did that in the second movie too, where he fought that guy on the conveyor belt with all the rocks.
That's right, the big guy on the conveyor.
That was a great fight scene.
That was actually a really great fight scene. You're right about that.
That was a big guy.
But, so Harrison Ford was sick. Apparently a lot of folks were sick filming that film.
Did they film all on location over in the Middle East somewhere?
Yes.
Well, no wonder they probably had, traveler's diarrhea.
Giardia or something like that. But yeah, he was sick as hell. So that day when they were supposed to film it, he just took his gun out and shot the guy, and they're like, "Keep it."
That's why his abs were so defined.
No water in him whatsoever. So yeah, it's weird how little things like that can come out. With the ending scene, with the bad guys getting their comeuppance, everybody loves that.
Everybody loves a dead Nazi.
Everybody loves a dead Nazi. And, so some of that was fan service. They knew who they were playing to. I mean, it's, again, Steven Spielberg. So
yeah, that's 1981. We're talking about Nazis.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's a great time to talk about some dying Nazis.
Right. For people...
This World War II generation, they're what at this
That's
point?
what I was going to say. It's the That's perfect, dude. World War II generation... they had to experience the extermination of 6 million people.
In their late 40s at this point.
If you were young enough, you were in your 40s, you could still remember.
Yeah. That was my grandfather. He was
right.
Sadly, he died in '84, but he was a young man when he died.
Right. So, yeah. So there was a lot of historical backing for the hatred of a certain group of people.
Yes.
Who basically wanted to eliminate other people. That gave it some context, gave it some grit, you know what I mean? The end scene is the only truly fantastical scene. I mean, fantasy, fantastical,
yes, okay. Not that he's breaking human barriers.
No, it's just purely the culmination of the religious mystery and everything building up to a point where you had to have an ending.
Well, like I said, in our greatest 80s action heroes,
right?
He was responsible for a few deaths of his own, but in Raiders, he told them not to, and they did anyway. So he was around a lot of death.
That is very true. Yes,
and he was around every one of those sons of bitches who died, and he was like, "Don't do it,"
right?
And they were like, "You're an idiot. Let's do it anyway." I don't know what they were hoping to gain. All right, we apologize. We are still working out the kinks on this new audio equipment. And I was just saying something that cut me out in the middle of it.
Yeah, we were recording, literally looked up and it said we'd reached max recording.
Yeah, we were using a new input here instead of recording straight to our podcast release company that we use. And sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're still new at this. And
even though we've been doing it for 3 seasons, we are...
Yes, but with the addition of YouTube, it's made things a little bit different. Because we have to have audio for 2 different sources, and then to be able to record in stereo on an iPad, you have to have an audio mixer, and XLR microphones versus USB microphones, because the iPad will only recognize one. USB is the primary, and then the other one sounds like you're shouting at somebody from across the room, etc., etc. So, forgive the growing pains.
We do apologize.
But we feel like the sound is going to be pretty awesome. You know,
we do. It's a far cry from what it was back when we first started.
Oh,
Two of us sitting in, one in a rocking chair, one in a straight back chair.
Yeah.
And something a little bit larger than a prison cell.
That was about it. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you're not on YouTube, you can't see it, but I'd say from about that wall over.
Yeah. It was us.
You know, that was our like your little downstairs den. There was 2 chairs with a higher thing, and then a table, and then 2 little tiny mics.
Yep.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
The walls were padded so the sound did not echo, and we were ready to go.
Yeah, we
had great times.
We've
come a long way.
Now. Anyway, but yeah, so we're gonna delve in.
We were still in Raiders of the Lost Ark there.
Yeah. I don't feel like I have too much more to say about it, and the reason I'm going to say
we're coming to the end. We're at the end when we're talking about it. They didn't believe him about not opening it.
Right.
And how do you think he knew to close his eyes?
I do not know. I will say it's in the same realm as how did he know to kneel for the petulant man, or whatever it's called.
Didn't his dad give him some sort of riddle?
Yes.
So
the petulant man. So whatever the P word is. I'm sorry. I don't want to say petulant. Which means, or what? The penitent man.
The petulant man.
The petulant man.
Nobody
bows
can
his
say
head
it like
before God.
Sean Connery.
But now here's my problem though with that whole riddle. If you bow your head, you still get the head lopped off by that other blade.
That's why he did the roll.
But why would you need to do the roll if you bowed?
You're fucking G.I. Joe, buddy.
Well, fair enough.
So Raiders was how we learned a lot about Indy that we never knew we would need to know, because it ended up being sequel after sequel after sequel after god-awful sequel.
Yeah. However,
there weren't many Indiana Jones toys, though.
No, never.
And that's how I knew this movie. We talked about this new one. We talked about how I thought it wasn't going to do well because Disney was not backing it, and they did not have a lot of stuff out at this park.
Had massively less advertising than the other ones, which was noticeable. The pre-screenings were not positive, but they didn't let you know that. But if you go back in time and look at the pre-screenings, they were fairly consistent as being pretty terrible. Just overall not good vibes, let's put it, about this film coming out.
Yeah.
There were always tie-ins before, either it be a video game or something. You know what I mean? Like, even if it was a Pizza Hut Raiders meal, which means nothing, but you know what I'm saying? They've been
trying to give these tickets away via Applebee's for this film.
No way.
Yeah, if you come to Applebee's, spend $35, you get a free ticket to Indiana to die.
That sounds a lot like Caddyshack. I bet you if you buy that hat, you get a free bowl of soup. But it looks good on you.
Yeah. You know what? So our number one is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Absolutely my favorite
Indiana Jones. That is a good movie.
It is, in my opinion, from start to finish, a complete movie.
Yeah.
It has humor. It has heart. It has it all. Action.
Yeah.
The little religious thing in there that gets your brain churning. Like, ooh, okay, I'm learning something.
Yes.
So yeah, like it was a fantastic movie, at least in my opinion, start to finish.
I was not sure that we would concur on the way our film went, but it went 100%.
I can see you thinking I'd be an original guy but I've also said there's only a handful of movies where the sequel can trump the first.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but that was one. I didn't say Temple of Doom did it, but I definitely said they had
they made it
the purest mix of Spielberg magic in that third movie.
Well, it actually is a sequel. The other one was not.
Well, what I'm saying is just in general, it has a flow that the other ones don't.
Temple of Doom couldn't top it. It was a prequel.
Yeah. Okay, so does that mean Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 are better than, couldn't top 7, 8, and 9? Because I'll go ahead and tell you, I'd rather watch the first three than the last three.
They're not sequels to those films. They're prequels to those films. They're not sequels to the 4, 5, and 6. They are prequels. They tell the story to how you get to those.
Right.
Just like 4, 5, and 6 are prequels to 7, 8, and 9.
Indiana Jones, you figure out how he got his name. I mean, if that's not some prequel-worthy stuff.
That is in the beginning. Then you learn about the snake issue, too.
River Phoenix.
It's a damn shame about him.
I mean, sorry, River Phoenix.
Yes.
Come on.
And the Stand By Me kid.
The young Indiana Jones
and not
scene.
the Will Wheaton guy, the other one.
No, the young Indiana Jones scene is fantastic.
Yeah. And you know how he's battling that guy that has the fedora.
The fedora. You find out about the fedora.
Yes.
You find about the scar on the chin that Harrison Ford already had, but this explained it.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of snakes, like you said. The love of the bullwhip, and oh my God, such a short scene in the movie, but so fantastically done. That's a prequel to me.
I think that's what they were trying to get in this last one, was a scene like that.
Oh.
And drag you into the nostalgia effect.
Did it fail?
Yeah, not really. No, I thought that was the best. That was almost the best part of the movie, other than when he was climbing the rock and he was like, "Oh, I'm old. And I had to drink the blood of Donkey Kong or whatever."
Right,
you know?
yeah. No, okay, that's fine. Yeah, no, I understand that completely, and I can see your point there.
But I don't know that the film would have been as good without Sean Connery.
I can't see it any other way. I believe that Sean Connery definitely made the movie.
That was a spectacular casting.
Just the way he portrayed the role was just insane cool. And you're talking about the guy that was Bond, and you know what I'm saying? And Bond, the Highlander. Yes. He could have gone 1,000 different directions with the character of Indiana, God bless, Indiana Jones Senior. But he turned in.
What's his real name?
Henry.
Henry Jones.
We named the dog Indiana.
That's right. Thank you. I
You named after
Henry.
A dog?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Boisterous.
He had a great laugh too.
Boisterous laughing.
And that blonde Nazi woman had better them both.
She was so hot.
Yeah.
And
very beautiful
also, Nazi. Just one of the funniest scenes in the whole damn film. He is a ghost. He will blend in. He knows 12 languages and knows every custom from here for 1,000 miles. You'll never find him. Hello? Does anybody speak English? That's just one of those Spielberg magic moments where it's like it takes you in such a different direction. And for a movie that has technically a topic as serious as it does, a tone of it, with the book burnings in Berlin,
I forgot about that.
Spielberg is the master of the relief laugh. You know, you're tense, but then he makes you laugh. Great example, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
You were scared to death of that Tyrannosaur after he, number one, knocks the everything around and yada, 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 and then they go down into the pit, and he eats the dude. They finally get out of the ravine, they get in the car, and what starts chasing them? The Tyrannosaurus Rex. And the best scene is like, must hurry, and then there's the main character looking in the side view mirror that says, images are larger than they appear, and it's a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex. Little tiny things like that. Well, just the same scene. They're in the tree, everything's sliding and falling. He grabs the head of the little kid and ducks it down, and they fall in only the right spot.
Yes.
That the car could have landed. Well, we're out of the tree. So little tiny break in the seriousness moments that keeps you on the roller coaster of the movie. And he's the best at it. And he definitely was firing on all cylinders when he made The Last Crusade.
And, you know, like you said, the riddles at the end.
Yeah. I don't remember X marks the spot. Yeah. It was sort of like in the original where they had to find the head, and then the staff was too tall. They had to remove it. Then find the exact load. You know, there was a little bit of that, but yes, definitely, with the hidden bridge or the painted bridge, so that it looks like there's nothing there. The like we talked about with the rolling, with the saw blades, having to choose the best cup.
Were there even saw blades? There weren't saw blades back then when they did that.
Hell no.
Yeah, and I thought that part of it was he who drinks from the cup may never leave.
Well, I think he who drinks from the cup to obtain immortality can't leave.
Yeah. Oh, I don't.
That's always the way I read it. Now, I could be totally wrong. I'll have to, hey, great opportunity if you're going to watch it again, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is more along the lines of, if you stay in the cave with the cup as its protector, you're immortal.
Okay.
But why did he want to bring it with him so bad? So is it the presence of the cup beside you?
The precious.
The precious. I mean, it. Obviously you can fill it full of water and cure bullet wounds.
But only that water, I thought.
But he drank it.
Shouldn't
he be immortal?
But yeah, that's what I've always thought. I'm like, well, I guess that means that Dad's immortal. But how did Dad get to leave? Because I thought you couldn't leave. But also...
Well, when he tried to, the whole place caved down.
It did cave in.
But does that mean Sean Connery's running around in this universe someplace spry as a 20-year-old?
Not in the indie universe. He's dead. We found that out in number 4.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I remember now. That's a travesty, too.
It is. I mean, that was a sad... He was alive during the filming of that
movie. He drank
movie.
from the cup of God, but he's dead because that's his Indiana Jones. That's the way it's going to go.
That's right.
Oh, screw me.
Another reason 4 sucked. That was a bad tie-in to why he wasn't in the film.
Yeah, it really was. And just, the whole...
They're not good at tying in why folks aren't in the films. They just kill them.
Yeah, I think that's been a contention for a while, just in movie making in general. Or TV, now that I think about it. The death of a character is rarely explained well.
Yeah.
Look what they did to Roseanne.
Yeah.
And I, for the life of me, can't understand why the Connors were on for 6 more years.
I'll watch that show.
Oh, well then now you can teach me. So we'll talk about that off mic. But yeah, I really disliked that show immensely. Now, if you're into it, hey, whatever. I'm not judging. I'm just giving an opinion. I hated the Connors. Yeah. I felt like it was forced. A lot of the humor was forced. And I felt like a lot of the alphabet soup stuff.
It lessened up as it went on.
Oh, okay. Because in the beginning, again, it just... I don't care if that's what you want to talk about, that's fine. But it just feels like, again, you're shoving it down.
I think that's the thing that they did right. Because, I don't know about you, but I've noticed that with like 12-year-old girls.
Sure.
There was a lot of that alphabet stuff we were just mentioning that was floating around a lot at that time.
Agreed.
With all those type of age group people. And then,
but I don't feel like 12-year-old girls were watching Roseanne.
But it portrayed them that way.
Oh, I get where you're coming from. Okay, that's brilliant. Yeah,
and
I
then
gotcha.
As the character of Mark grew up throughout the years of the show, and as he graduated high school, he was just a gay man. Instead of being as flamboyant, he just turned into a gay man who wears blue pants and maybe a sweater.
I gotcha.
And it really, it showed you how people really grow and change from a tween to a man getting ready to go to college.
I know lots of guys that were less flamboyant until they got older.
We did. But that's not this generation.
Okay, that's fair.
But back to Andy, we've ranked the movies. So, to make this definitive, we kind of have to talk a little bit about... Probably, we've talked about some of the best moments, but have we left out any of the other best moments?
So overall best moments?
Yeah.
Again, haven't seen 5. I don't remember too many great moments in 4 at all. 3, we talked about the action, so the motorcycle scene.
The riding off in the sunset scene.
The riding off of the... That should have been the end of Indiana Jones, in my opinion.
Yes.
But that was fantastic. Especially with the lead out being so beautiful. Yeah. With that, again, the Indiana Jones march. Mm-hmm. You know, it was just... It seemed like a perfect play out. But yeah, so the fire scene in the German castle.
From...
Last Crusade.
Okay. Oh yeah.
You know, with the yes. revolving door and
yes.
like at one point they twist and it's the fire, and the other one is a bunch of Germans trying to shoot them.
Yes.
That whole scene of them escaping was fantastic. I would say that Temple of Doom, pretty straightforward. I would say as a kid, the heart removing scene was pretty impactful as a kid.
That little chant they had was really good.
Mola Rama Salam, Mola Rama Salam. Yeah. And the other one's going Aman Nashiba, which is actually Hindu for like protect me. Yeah. The scene on the bridge. Mm-hmm. Frick, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So that's good.
They made a video game out of that one. Yeah, it was one of the first video Indiana Jones games, and the biggest part of that game was the carts.
I remember.
Yeah.
Loved the Indiana. That's because you had the whip.
Yeah.
Loved the Indiana Jones game. And then, honestly, Raiders and let's say Crusade. They kind of have some similar action scenes, given who the bad guys are. I would say that I feel like Raiders did a better job of making me, as a viewer, feel like it was in the 40s.
Yeah.
Whereas Last Crusade seemed a little bit too bright and crisp.
Oh, yeah, I can see that, yeah.
It's not that I couldn't suspend it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the first one really played on the whole... It's the 1940s thing. Yeah. It seemed like, I mean, even though Last Crusade had the book burning in Berlin,
yes.
all I have to do is scream, you know.
Yeah.
It never really felt that old. Yeah. And I don't know why. But I understood the concept of what was trying to be presented to me. So, yeah, I think we've covered it pretty darn well. And I don't think anybody who is listening to the podcast would be confused as to our reasons why we have named them in the order that we've named them.
Yeah, I will have to concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what do you think, before we go, is the best scene from all of the movies?
Oh, okay. Oh, my. That's going to be a tough one. Again, haven't seen 5.
It wouldn't make it.
4 doesn't do anything for me. The boat scene in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when they're escaping?
Yes.
And they go down, X marks the spot.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. I cannot, because it had the kind of like, as a kid, that adventurer in you that wants to go find something that no one else has discovered before.
Yes.
And then you had the boat scene on top of it, which was so action-packed and very well done. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with that. Actually, it's a toss between the scene in the boat or the scene where they're running. That whole starting of them getting captured, like the Austrian woman kissing Senior, and finding out that they had Dad. You're twice her age. Well, you know what I mean? Like, and then the hopelessness and the getting punched, and then all of a sudden their room is caught on fire because of a mistake when they're trying to escape, and they hit the accidental switch, and it's just such a well done action. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it even ends with the planes firing on them, and Jones Senior. And then the birds and he's
in the plane shooting, and didn't he shoot the tail?
He shoot the tail out, and then they crash, and then they're trying to get away, and another plane comes after them.
They're actually in the Hindenburg at one point.
And then or a Hindenburg style blip, and then he starts opening his thing with the birds, and the birds go up and clog the thing, and then it crashes. Yeah. Oh man, that whole sequence is pretty hard to top.
Yeah,
because that's an extended sequence too.
It is pretty good now that you mention it.
There's just so much going on, Like we have to go, because that's when he smacks him. His dad smacks him for.
Yeah.
Like this is a race for mankind, and kind of puts the idea in his head that his journal is way more important than just some book. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's cool that you can actually get a reproduced version of that as a prop gift, and it literally has every page.
Come on, Junior, how much more important than this?
Yeah. Well, it's just that's for being blasphemous. It's just a whole scene really combined that takes up a good chunk of the movie, and it's like a roller coaster. You had been kind of down. They get on the blimp. You think they're gonna make it. They got to take the plane. The whole sequence. Because again, with the castle before that, them trying to sneak on to it, and then the German shows up yet again somehow. And then. Oh yeah, that was just a great sequence of events.
That is a good way. So, I think that's a great way to end it.
I think that's the way I'm going to go. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's a great sequence there.
So
you just painted a great picture of that film.
So I feel like this might be one of our shorter podcasts. However, I feel like it's kind of condensed. We talked about a lot in a short period of time.
We did.
This is also one of those that there's not, unfortunately, had 4 and 5 been better, this would have been a normal length podcast.
Yeah.
But with me not having seen 5, and that's on me. But again, I didn't see it because you said it sucked. And I'd already been bitten in the ass with number 4.
Just wait until it comes out on streaming and watch it.
That's what I'm going to do. I will watch anything once. But you're not going to get my money a second time.
It's weird because my father-in-law, I've talked about him a few times on here, he really liked it. Oh, he thought it was a great film, but I've just told you, he's the one that goes into it open mind like a child.
Yeah, if you go into it, hey, these are people looking for their art, and they're raiders instead of a Raiders of the Lost Ark movie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is a great movie about Professor Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much about Professor Henry Jones.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a totally different freaking character almost. So that's where I'm going to leave off, brother.
I can't say that I disagree with anything you've said. The best way I think to end it for me is whenever you ask me to just give me a quick vision of Indy, it's either him standing on that bridge or it's him riding off into the sunset at the very end.
Agreed. The only other image I have is the poster for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah. With
the ripped shirt, the bull whip, and the fedora.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there is no one scene. I agree with you. The bridge is just
too iconic.
I mean, there were posters of it everywhere at one point. You go to Walmart or School Kids or whatever, buy your poster. That's the one that was out.
Oh, yeah.
If you bought something Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was the movie poster.
Yes.
You didn't buy a scene.
No.
However, that was such a cool scene that they made it its own poster.
It seems like it was 5 of them riding
off. So I know that it was at least Indiana, his dad, and
Martin,
the Arabic dude.
Sallah. And then I thought Martin was there too.
Was he?
I thought he was. That's 4. And I thought there was a 5th.
I don't remember a 5th. I was thinking only 3. So it might be 4, and I'm wrong. Don't get me. But I thought
we're going to stick between 3 and 5.
Because I thought that's when he said the thing about the dog. Like as they're riding off at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
They're on Indiana. Why do we keep calling him Indiana? His name's Henry.
Yeah.
What? We named the dog Indiana. Mm-hmm. You're named after a dog? That whole scene, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was as they were riding off, and I think that's what set the background of them going into, that was like one of the last jokes as they went into the sunset, and then the Raiders theme, the Raiders March came on. I could be wrong though, I'm not sure.
I guess Indiana was held more prestige back in the day.
Just can't get no respect.
People from there, and they're like, I can't die in Indiana.
No. I know that part. Like, I'll go be corn feed. All right. Hey, well, as always, faithful listeners, thank you for tuning in and listening. This one is a little bit shorter. But
it took a long time to record.
But it
technical
also,
issues.
We had technical difficulties and stuff like that. So we've tried to do the best we could. Our first outing being, with our new mics, new audio mixer, etc. So thank you as always for listening. If you're on our social media, which Ben will discuss in a second, please make sure to like, and if you could, please follow. If you like our podcast, suggest it to just one of your friends. See if they like it. Other than that, this is Going Commando with the 80s Kids. Ben Davis, take us out.
Yeah, most importantly, if you're listening to us right now, I'm going to ask you to do us one favor. Because if you're listening, you've probably been listening from the beginning. Go to somebody that you know and recommend this podcast. Say, hey, I listen to this podcast weekly or bi-weekly or whenever I listen to it. I think you might like it. Because there's chances are that if you're listening to this, you know other people who would like this type of topic. And we could use their patronage.
Yes.
So I would really appreciate that, and so would Carthy over here next to me, who's still struggling with the heartburn.
I'm sorry, listener.
One day, we will get this under control. So, currently, we have a brand new email. I have not talked about our email in a long, long time.
Very true.
But due to our snafu with the Google, which took down our YouTube, and we lost everything up until last week. So if you want to watch our YouTube, we have currently last week and the week before up.
Yeah.
Everything before that is gone, which was only like one full episode, and then 2 or 4 partial episodes, and some other things I posted, but not a lot of stuff.
Right.
So right now, the true YouTube is Going Commando with the 80s Kids. And as I mentioned, our email is commando80skids@gmail.com.
Yep.
You can email us. You can email us requests for topics.
Hell yeah!
And I promise you, if it's good enough or if it's 80s enough, we will fit it in next year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even we could do a 10-minute section within a podcast.
We could do
and
that.
And we will say from listener X.
If it's good enough, I will substitute it for something that we already have in the rotation. I will kick it out and put yours in. I promise you that. So, you can also send anything you want to me. We get lots of hate.
Yeah,
we're getting a good amount
recently,
of hate these days.
There's been some trolls.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of that on our social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on the Ticketa Talkada. It's all 80s Kid. What was that, excuse me?
Well, I was just going to say, we've been talking about Twitter and using the platform, and Elon Musk just announced that they're going to get rid of all the birds and change the logo to an X.
Really?
So, as I have been saying for a while, we'll get back to Twitter when it's less crazy.
Yeah, they also put a restriction on the amount of stuff you could view and post. So we're on there. We have a thing on there. It's just 80s Kids unless you've changed it.
No, it is still the 80s Kids. But what I am considering doing is going to Threads, just because.
Interesting.
Meta Threads, Facebook Threads. I don't know if they do groups. But
I don't know.
I know they do celebrities, so we're obviously not celebrities, but they. Maybe we could put a podcast thing in Threads.
Yeah,
I don't know how that Threads works yet.
Couldn't tell you.
However, I used to be large into Twitter. It was my go-to for sports. And so I used it for years. And then when we got our podcast, it's just been it's been different over it.
Twitter's been a sticky situation for a few years.
Yeah. So that's the reason we don't have our Twitter. I just had to interject because Ben I help out, but not much. But Ben does our social media stuff. So we're definitely very active on Facebook.
We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're very active. We've not been on TikTok lately.
I gotcha. Okay, I was going to say the other thing should be TikTok.
We will be now. We've got the sound quality back up on our YouTube thing, so I'll be able to cut segments off of that
do reels and things,
to get back on TikTok. We've had some great views when I put those up.
Yeah, that's awesome, and thank you to everybody who watched.
And for all of those, the TikTok, the Instagram, and the Facebook, it is Going Commando with the 80s Kids. That is exactly the name you need to type in to find us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. We are the only ones with this name.
Yeah, rebranding helps.
Yes, it does. So, until next time, this is Ben Davis and Carthy of Going Commando with the 80s Kids. Take care of yourselves and each other.